Okay, we'll take a look at quiz 5 here. In the three metamorphoses, the middle stage of the spirit is the child. That's false. The child is clearly final and third and last stage of the spirit discussed. The middle stage is the lion. Just as a note, the great dragon is not one of the stages of the spirit. You can see right at the beginning, Nietzsche tells you that he will discuss the metamorphosis of the spirit into the camel, into the lion, and finally the child. The great dragon is not one of the stages of the spirit. It's something that the spirit battles with in the process of moving through those stages. In the allegory of the cave, Plato is expressing which claim about knowledge? Here, clearly, knowledge is attained through the intellect. 3. At the end of myth of Sisyphus, Sisyphus is defeated by the rock. The rock is stronger than him. That's the opposite of what Camus is telling us at the end. And the triumph, the reason why Sisyphus is the absurd hero is precisely that he becomes stronger than his rock, he triumphs over it, is no longer defeated by it. That's the important transition in the story. In the myth of Sisyphus, the meaning of life would appear to be created, which would give it a subjective manner of existence. It exists only because we believe it exists or make it exist, which is very different from other parts of the world, like the shape, weight, and size of things. So here meaning is created and thus subjective. Question 5, the problem with saying that something A becomes meaningful only if it is connected to something else B that is meaningful, something we discussed in class, is that some things but not others turn out to be meaningful on this definition. That isn't the problem with that definition that Nozick identifies. What he says is that that leads to an infinite regress, according to which nothing could ever possibly be meaningful. Nothing could possibly be meaningful if we choose that definition of meaning. So it wouldn't be true that some things but not others turn out to be meaningful. Question 6. A feature of literary characters that makes some of them more real than others is that they are more concentrated centers of psychological organization. That's right. That's in that discussion of reality of literary characters. The interesting application of that would be maybe that also applies to people. Okay. Nozick's definition of meaning is that something A is meaningful if A has value and has a valuable connection to something else B that has value. That's true. Notice that's different from the definition looking at in question number 5, and it avoids that regress. So basically we have a connection between two things of value, and as long as that connection is itself valuable, that brings meaning onto the scene when we've got a valuable connection between valuable things. Question 8. In the allegory of the cave, the shadows represent the observable world of perception. One way of thinking about perceiving things through the senses is that they are images or representations kind of shown in the theater of the mind where I guess the surface upon which they are shown would be something like the wall of the cave, and we are aware of them, we grasp them. But that's what we're doing when we perceive things, grasping images on the inside of our mind. Kind of seems right. Okay, question 9. According to nozick, for x to have meaning, unlike value, there must be some connection between x and something outside of itself. That's right. Nozick says that meaning requires some connection beyond or outside of the thing itself. You have to be connected to something else in a certain kind of way in order to have meaning. Value, on the other hand, he says, doesn't require connection between the valuable thing and anything else. A thing has value in virtue of its own intrinsic properties, according to nozick. Okay, question 10. In the three metamorphoses, the great dragon is the great thou shalt. Okay, that about does it. Hope that helps.